Hello and welcome to new broadcasts on TayNinhTV with some latest events in the province as well as in nationwide. The now came into details. On the morning of April 17, the Central Party Secretariat have an online conference to disseminate conclusion number 132-18-2025 of the Politburo on continuance to implement Directive number 36-August 16, 2019 of the Politburo on strengthening and improving the effectiveness of breast prevention, control, and combat.
Attending the chairing and the center connecting, there was Mr. Trần Cẩm Tú, Politburo member, standing member of the Secretariat, Deputy Prime Minister Lê Thành Long, Chairman of the National Committee for AIDS, Drug and Prostitution Prevention and Control, General Lương Tâm Quang, Politburo member, Minister of Public Security. At the connecting point, there were Mr. Nguyễn Mạnh Hùng, Secretary of Provincial Party Committee, Chairman Provincial People's Council, attended and chaired the conference. After 5 years of implementing Directive number 36 of the Politburo on strengthening and improving the effectiveness of drug prevention, control, and combat, the number of drug-related crimes and subjects detected and arrested is higher than the period before the directive was implemented, for 21.83% more cases and 21.95% more subjects, in which many drug families and organizations operating interprovincially and transnationally have been dismantled. The investigation, prosecution, and trial of drug-related crimes have been conducted promptly, strictly, in accordance with the law, and achieved a high rate, specifically reaching over 97% of cases and over 96% of defendants. Concluding remarks, Mr. Trần Cẩm Tú, Politburo member, standing member of the Secretariat, noted the need to continue strengthening the party leadership, improving effectiveness and efficiency of state management, the core role of specialized forces, and the active participation of the majority of the people in preventing, combating, and controlling of drugs.
On the morning of April 17, the Standing Committee of TayNinhTV Party Committee have a ceremony to award party patches to 63 party members on May 19.
Attending the ceremony, there was Deputy Secretary for Provincial Party Committee, Head of the National Assembly Delegation of TayNinh Province, Phạm Hùng Thái, Secretary of the City Party Committee, Lê Minh Thế. The ceremony to award party badges was held on the occasion of the whole country joyfully welcoming the 50th anniversary of the liberation of the South and the National Reunification Day on April 30th, and the 135th anniversary of the President Ho Chi Minh's birthday, May the 19th of 1980 and May the 19th of 2005. This time, the TayNinhTV Party Committee has 63 party members awarded the 40, 45th, 50, 55th, and 60 and 70-year party membership badges, of which the 70-year party membership badge was awarded to party members Bùi Thị Tới, and the 60 years party membership badge to party members Ngô Quang Niệm. Both of these party members belong to the World 3 Party Committee. Sincerely congratulating the party members who were honored to receive the party badge this time, the Standing Deputy Secretary Provincial Party Committee, Phạm Hùng Thái, said that the party badge is a noble reward of the party, a respectful recognition of the contributions of the party members to the revolutionary cause, and at the same time hopes that in the coming time these party members will continue to guide and encourage the young party members to continue to strive and contribute to the development of the party committee and their homeland. TayNinh.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the morning of April 17, Action Chairman of the Provincial Parties Committee, Nguyễn Hồng Thành, together with Vice Chairman of the Provincial People's Committee, Trần Văn Chiến and Dương Văn Thắng, co-chairs the regular meeting of April 2025 to give opinions on a number of important content related to the three areas of internal affairs, finance, and constructions.
At the meeting, the Provincial People's Committee gave opinions on contents in the fields of internal affairs. Typically, the project to reorganize the TayNinh Provincial Construction Investment Project Management Board and the TayNinh Provincial Transport Construction Investment Project Management Board into the TayNinh Provincial Construction Investment Project Management Board. Resolution amending the point H, Clause 1, Article 1 of the Resolution number 219, dated on February 20th of 2025 of the Provincial People's Council on reorganizing specialized associates under Provincial People's Committee. Regarding the finance sector, the Provincial People's Committee commented on the resolution on adjusting and supplementing the medium-term public investment plan from the local budgets for the period of 2021 to 2025. Phước Long Bờ Lê Service Urban Area projects in the Phước Long Bờ Lê Industrial Urban Service Complex. Regarding the construction sector, the Provincial People's Committee commented on the draft decision promulgating regulations on the road transport activities in the urban areas and the rights of public passenger transport vehicles with assistive devices for the people with disabilities in the urban areas in Tây Ninh province. The draft decision on regulations on the use of motorbikes, mopeds, and rudimentary vehicles for the passenger and cargo transportation in Tây Ninh province. Speaking at the meeting, Mr. Nguyễn Hồng Thanh, acting chairman of the Provincial People's Committee, emphasized that the relevant departments and branches continue to study and complete the content to submit to the Provincial People's Council for the early promulgation of the resolution and contributing to promoting the socio-economic development of the province.
On the morning of April 17, the Provincial Military Command held a conference to review the military defense tasks in the first quarter and deploy directions and tasks for the second quarter of 2025. Colonel Nguyễn Thanh Tâm, commander of the Provincial Military Command, chaired the conference. In the first quarter of 2025, the Provincial Party Committee Military Command completed the target of selecting and calling citizens to join the army, receiving and closely training 560 new soldiers. The work of military rear policy and defense diplomacy continued to be focused on and effectively implemented. Officers and soldiers were assured of their work, strictly followed discipline, and clearly defined their assigned responsibilities and tasks. Speaking at the conference, Colonel Nguyễn Thanh Tâm, commander of the Provincial Military Command, requested agencies, units, and localities to seriously acknowledge the limitations in the first quarter, clearly identify the content and measures to effectively implement military and defense tasks in the second quarter and the following period.
Before the historic days of April 30, 1975, the independent police were once of the headquarters of Saigon government, witnessing the foreign military interventions that caused the devastating war in Vietnam. After the liberations and unifications of the country, the independent police became a unit architectural work, a special historical relic, and a symbol of Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City.
After the liberation and unification of the country, the Independent Palace became a unique architectural work, a special historical relic, and a symbol of Saigon, Ho Chi Minh City. The Independent Palace is also a symbol affirming the sovereignty and harmony and unity of the country. And it is also the meaning of the current name of this work, Reunification Hall. Not only is it as a historical witness, the place that preserved the golden mark of the historic victory on April 30th of 1975. At 8 a.m. on April 30th of 1975, the entire cabinet of the Saigon government went to the Independent Palace to introduce the new government. And at 9:30 a.m. on April 30th of 1975, Yu Văn Minh, the president, announced on Saigon radio his decision to unilaterally ceasefire and hand over power to the Provincial Revolutionary Government of the Republic of the South of Vietnam. And 11:30 a.m. on April 30th of 1975, the movement signaled the historic Ho Chi Minh campaign's complete victory. The Independent Palace became a historical witness, a place that preserved the imprint of the Golden Victory, marking the end of the Saigon government, and the country of the Vietnam was reunited. The Independence Palace is where we defeated the imperialists. Vietnam was determined to defeat the Americans, and listening to Uncle Ho's words, we must win at all costs, take back the country. The country must be unified, and the two regions as one. The Independent Palace was originally called as Norodom Palace, built in 1868, and in 1962 the palace was rebuilt according to the design of architect Ngô Viết Thủ, the first Vietnamese to win the Khôi Nguyên Roman Award, award for the young talents in the fields of music, literature, sculpture, and architecture also. According to architect Ngô Việt Nam Sơn, the son of Mr. Ngô Viết Thủ, his father cleverly conveyed a message about the Vietnam sovereignty in the overall design of the facade of the Independence Palace. The philosophical meaning is put into the facade. For example, there are three horizontal strokes of the word, mean three in the Chinese words meaning humanity, intelligence, and martial arts, or the vertical stroke of the words of the emphasize the Vietnam sovereignty, and on top is the word of Trung, referring to the meaning of being loyal to the country, and the charo shape is the words of Vương, representing the power of the national leader. A common image forming the words of Hung, it is the wish for the country to prosper forever. And I think that the deepest meaning is the wish of the architect, and the project will demonstrate the sovereignty of the nation and the solidarity of the people in developing an independent and powerful Vietnam. Overall, the Independence Palace has 3 floors, 2 mezzanines and a basement, and a round area of 4,500 square meters, a total floor nearly of 20,000 square meters, and the main facade of the palace, the northeast of Nam Kỳ Khởi Nghĩa Street, facing straight to Lê Dưỡng Street, and the back of southwest with Huyền Trân Công Chúa Street, and the left northwest to Nguyễn Thị Minh Khai Street, and the right of the southeast is Nguyễn Du Street. That curtain also took the idea from Huế of the dynasty, or we see, instead of making a curved roof to repeat the classical architecture of Vietnam, Mr. Ngô Viết Thụ proposed on the top of the palace, and the concrete roof was slightly curved to create a curved shape to evoke the image of Asian architecture, but with a completely modern spirit. Half a century has passed since the moment of witnessing the historic movement of April 30 of 1975. The Independence Palace reunification home is now a palace, a place for receive national guests, and a place to hold important national events, major cultural, artistic, and socio-economic events of the country and the Ho Chi Minh City. On the occasion of the April 30th of a year, the Independence Palace, a special national heritage and a symbol of Ho Chi Minh City, also attract millions of tourists to visit. And at a conference to summarize the election movements, provincial armed forces join hands to build new rural areas, and provincial armed forces join hands for the poor, leaving no one behind, held on April 17th. The Lieutenant Provincial Military Commander says that in the period of 2021 to 2025, the movements have been effectively deployed, contributing to socio-economic development, maintaining the national defense and security in the area. In the movement to build the new rural areas, the provincial armed forces coordinated with the local party committees and authorities to support the construction of 124 houses worth for over 1 billion Vietnam dong for the poor, organized more than 360 propaganda sections attracting nearly 10,000 people, and built 11 sports facilities, 1 cultural facility to serve the Khmer ethnic people, and many meaningful mass mobilization activities also. The provincial armed forces also focus on national defense criteria in building new slight rural areas, contributing to strengthening the national defense posture. And responding to the movement Join Hands for the Poor, the provincial armed forces actively participated in preventing and fighting the COVID-19 pandemic and supporting over 550,000 people in 11 days, with a total budget of over 1,000 billion Vietnam dong, organizing medical examination and giving gifts to thousands of people, policy families, and vulnerable groups. And the result achieved affirmed the core role and the sense of responsibility, serving the people of the TayNinhTV armed forces, contributing to strengthening the right national unity bloc, building a solid people's heart posture. On this occasion, the Provincial Military Command commended many collectives and individuals with outstanding achievements in implementing movements and giving extraordinary rewards for participating in the sport competition organized by the province. On the morning of April 17, receiving Mr. Sang Huy Kim, the Chair Director of the Global Rainbow Institute, on the occasion of attending the summit for the Partnership for Rainbow and the Global Goals of 2030, abbreviated as P4G. The Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính welcomed the GGGI's goal of mobilizing an additional $1 billion in green finance for Vietnam in the period of 2024 to 2028. Highly appreciating the Global Rainbow Institute Chair Director's attendance at the P4G Summit, as well as the GGGI's companionship and contribution to green efforts, ensuring the Global Sustainable Development Goals and the P4G. The Prime Minister said that Vietnam has achieved many positive results and will continue to promote more strongly the process of energy transition, green growth, and sustainable development, considering this as important driving forces of the country's development in a new era. The Prime Minister suggested that GGGI continue to have more close, practical, specific, and effective cooperation initiatives with Vietnam. GGGI Director General Sang Hu Kim highly appreciated Vietnam as a founding member and one of the strongest members of GGGI, and said that GGGI has supported the mobilization of more than $200 million for green investment in Vietnam and aims for $1 billion by 2028. But the room for cooperation between the two sides is still very large. Thanking the Prime Minister for agreeing on the direction of signing the agreement between the Vietnamese government and GGGI, Director General Sang Hu Kim believes that Vietnam will achieve the set goals in the increasingly important areas, committed to continue to take substantive actions with Vietnam in the process of green transformation and development, and at the same time promote stronger and closer cooperation between Vietnam and Korea in the fields of green transformation, information technology, agriculture, and energy.
Dear viewers, every year, the Dầu Tiếng Reservoir Irrigation System always ensure enough irrigation water for hundreds of thousands of hectares of agricultural land throughout Tây Ninh province. In the past, especially during the dry season, the irrigation system still provided enough water, and there has never been a shortage of water in the irrigation area.
And currently in Tây Ninh province, there are 4 reservoirs, 10 electric pumping stations, and more than 1,700 irrigation canals, 260 drainage canals serving the irrigation water needs for agricultural production for more than 150,000 hectares in all 3 crops each year, of which 75% of the agricultural production area in Tây Ninh province. In U Minh Châu district alone, where there are 2 main canals originate, the irrigation system always ensures irrigation for more than 10,000 hectares every year. Mr. Nguyễn Văn Sanh in Thuận Bình Hamlet, Trung commune, who has been farming for a long time in this locality, said that when the N4 canal brought irrigation water to this area, along with the entire infrafield canal system put into operation, the land of more than 200 hectares produced for 3 rice crops per year. The irrigation department has a clear road transfer table. Farmers follow it to do it in accordance with the season, and every year the crop must be transferred like that. The transfer is accompanied by the racking of canals, ditches cutting along the canals. Director of U Minh Châu District Irrigation Enterprise said that the enterprise is managing more than 240 canals, and the length of our irrigation and drainage canals is more than 300 kilometers. Every year in all 3 crop seasons, irrigation is always ensured throughout the area, and there has never been a shortage of irrigation water even in the dry season. The enterprise has coordinated with the unit construction of rotating the water course, ensuring aeration and ensuring the construction unit. Construction and water opening, meaning the water will be closed for 1 week to 10 days. At present, it is the dry season, and the water supply for agricultural production in the irrigation area of the irrigation system in U Minh Châu district, in particular, the whole province in general, always ensure enough irrigation water. And there is no case of damage to crops and livestock due to the lack of water. The Department of Agriculture and Environment always reviews coordinate with the People's Committee of District House and Tây Ninh City to survey and evaluate its production area, households that are cultivating agriculture, not allowing the water shortage for agricultural production to occur.
On the morning of April 17, Minister of Agriculture and Environment Đỗ Đức Duy chairs a high-level discussion section catching up with the 4 Green Revolutions, the journey to transfer the food system for a sustainable era.
This is a discussion session within the framework of the Partnership for Renewal in the Global Goals 2030 P4G Summit. Food security is currently under threat, and the development gap between countries is increasing. In that context, the most vulnerable groups, poor farmers, low-income consumers, fragile nature, are suffering the most severe consequences. Therefore, Green Revolution 4.0 is not simply an option, but an inevitable requirement, a command to action. This is a revolution that carries the expectation of comprehensively reforming the food system through the application of digital technology, artificial intelligence, big data, biotechnology, and innovative solutions. According to the General Department of Taxation, by the end of the first quarter of 2025, 148 foreign suppliers such as Google, Meta, Microsoft, TikTok had registered, declared, and paid taxes through the electronic information portal for foreign suppliers, with a total accumulated amount of up to 2,832 billion Vietnam dong. Also, in the first 3 months of the year, tax revenue from e-commerce activities reached 34.5 trillion Vietnam dong, an increase of 19% over the same period, particularly through the e-commerce portal for business households. More than 66,000 households and individuals declared and paid nearly 547.6 billion Vietnam dong to the budget. The 5 localities with the highest tax revenue include Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, Nam Định, Bắc Ninh.
During the historic days of April, many tourist destinations and trees in the mountain towns of Đà Lạt, Lâm Đồng was covered with red glass with yellow star.
The flag and flower trees not only attract many young people and tourists to take pictures, but also contributes to spreading the love for the country among today's young generation. On this occasion, many young people and tourists in Đà Lạt, city of Lâm Đồng province, happily walk along the flag and flower streets in the campuses of some tourist destinations and streets in the inner city. 50 years after the country's unification, our youth did not have to take up arms and go to war, but we always understand that we must follow in the footsteps of our ancestors, contributing to the construction of the fatherland with our courage, intelligence, enthusiasm, and spirits of innovation and creativity. Lâm Đồng Provincial Youth Activity Center has decorated a national flag float with the meaning of educating the young generation, adolescents, and the children of Lâm Đồng Province to better understand the historical significance of the national flag as well as the victory of the 50 years of liberating the South, completely unifying the country. The children can imagine the mark of their fathers and previous generations who have worked hard to build and protect the fatherland. The flag route project was implemented by the Đà Lạt City Youth Union, and from the 4 initial projects, the model has now been expanded to 16 routes, and thereby each ward and commune in the area has a flag and flower route, contributing to beautifying the urban appearance, spreading patriotism and arousing the national pride in the young generation as well as the residents and the tourists when coming to Đà Lạt of thousands of flowers.
That's all for today, TTV News. Thank you for being with us, and goodbye for now.